What's up, Taiwan? I'm Louise Watt with news from here in Taiwan and around the world. A US Navy ship has sailed through the Taiwan Strait, according to maritime tracking data. The transit has not been confirmed by Taiwan or the US, but is likely to draw a strong reaction from Beijing. Let's get more now from our defense reporter, Jaime Ocon. Jaime, what do we know?
Yeah, well, this is still a bit of a developing story, like you said, and neither the United States nor Taiwan's military has confirmed the transit, but Taiwan's defense ministry has told us that they are acknowledging the situation and that they're looking to see what's going on. So open source websites that track maritime data show some kind of government or U.S. military ship that entered the Taiwan Strait on April 22nd. Its last known location is somewhere in waters off the coast of Kaohsiung, southwest of the coast of Kaohsiung. But it's important to remember that these kinds of transits, they're not unusual. The U.S. military does operate aircraft and ships in the region to show freedom of navigation, with the last transit happening back in February. Now, China hasn't lodged any sort of complaint, which is what you'd expect from a transit, but it has sent military aircraft to that same southwest area off the coast of Kaohsiung. So still a bit too early to tell what's going on, but we definitely know that there is a strong U.S. presence in that area.
And Jaime, you mentioned China. Are we seeing more security cooperation from the US and Taiwan to counter Beijing's ambitions in the region?
Yeah, we definitely are. I mean, we're slowly starting to see signs of the U.S. military shifting and prioritizing the Indo-Pacific region, with the core focus being Taiwan, and that includes arms sales. We're learning now that Taiwan's military is set to receive hundreds of missiles for its Patriot air defense system from the United States, specifically the PAC-3 MSE, which is one of the newest, most advanced variants of that missile, which is in really hot demand right now. Earlier, I spoke to Kelly Greco. She's a security analyst with the Stimson Center based in Washington, D.C., and she says that this kind of weapon gives you a bit of insight on what the strategy is for the United States and Taiwan to counter China. Take a listen.
I think it's quite noticeable that the sales that we're talking about is the PAC-3 MSE and not the F-35, because the air defense systems are consistent with an asymmetric defense, becoming a porcupine. The F-35 is not. And so one of the things it tells me perhaps is that DC is going to be more inclined to approve these kinds of sales when they see it's consistent with the asymmetric defense that they think is in the best interest of Taiwan and US interests. I think that the administration has been clear about that. So it wants it to spend more, and it also wants it to spend better. So making sure that when you do spend those funds, you're spending it in a way that you're getting the maximum capability, the maximum deterrent and defense for each dollar that you're spending on that defense budget.
We're only hearing that Taiwan is receiving several hundred of these missiles, and we don't have an exact amount. But if there was a conflict between China and the United States and Taiwan, is that amount enough, the several hundred?
It is unbelievable how quickly you can go through these interceptors. At the Stimson Center, I recently wrote a report looking at Chinese missile threats to U.S. air bases in the Indo-Pacific. And even when we had really large numbers of interceptors, more than actually exist in the U.S. inventory, one of the things that we found is that within 36 hours, we were out of interceptors in our simulation. So you could just go, you can burn through these really quickly. And that then becomes a question of strategy. How are you going to employ these systems? And so we'd all like to create a defensive shield, like an impenetrable defensive shield that would prevent an adversary missile from being able to come through and strike an air base or a city. That's really not feasible to do that.
Sources within the military say that these weapons, which are meant for air and missile defense, will start arriving in Taiwan in batches starting this year and next year. And they're also expecting more arms sales as the United States and Taiwan continue to strengthen their defense ties.
Thanks, Jaime. That was Jaime Ocon in our Taipei newsroom. Tariff relief could soon be on the way for Taiwan. The government has just announced a $12.6 billion package to help the economy weather the threat of US levies. That's gone up from a previously announced tariff relief plan of about $2.7 billion. For more on this, let's speak to Chris Gorin. Chris, $12 billion sounds like a big number. What exactly is in the package?
Well, you're right, Louise. It is a big number. And that's because while they have increased the tariff relief funds by about 5%, there's much more than just that included in this package. They've added funds for 10 key areas that they consider to be important for Taiwan's overall economic resilience, tariffs or no tariffs. Now, here's a little bit of Taiwan's Premier Zhuo Rongtai making his case for the strategy.
会影响到台湾未来的，不仅仅是只有美国的对等关税、贸易的政策改变而已，还有就是全球贸易秩序会重整，而且会影响到整体的国际情势。因此，政府更必须做好全面的准备。
So these additional areas include funds to help businesses expand their international partnerships, for example, assistance to agricultural workers and farmers, extra funds for cybersecurity and national defense, and even funds for national health insurance and the country's ailing power utility, Taipower. In addition to that, the scope of businesses that can apply for tariff relief has also expanded. Basically, any company who can prove a 10% decline in revenue from tariffs can now qualify. So it's quite a comprehensive package.
So Chris, is all this enough to protect Taiwan's economy? And does it have support in the legislature?
Yes, those are both two critical questions. And I've been speaking to economists today, and they tell me that Taiwan is actually well placed to weather the tariffs compared to other Asian countries. And the bigger challenge might be political fights over the budget in the legislature.
So, I mean, generally speaking, we have downgraded almost all of our forecasts for Asia, with the exception of Taiwan. And the reason for that is, Taiwan's, very specific place in semiconductor production is going to insulate it from a lot of these headwinds. Whether it's enough is very much going to depend on kind of the final composition of these tariffs. But what we do know is that government spending this year was slated to be slashed by quite a historic amount. I mean, if the government can't execute its budget, or if it's, implementing its spending plans with a lot less fiscal resources than it had initially planned for, then there are consequences for that.
Now, as a reminder, the opposition KMT and TPP parties passed large budget cuts and freezes back in January, and much of the legislature's work has been gridlocked ever since. Now, this package will move to the legislature for approval, and previously, the opposition parties had been calling for even more tariff relief money. At the same time, they're also trying to cut spending, so gauging their support for this new package is going to be key moving forward.
Thanks, Chris, for that update. That was Chris Gorin, live in our Taipei newsroom. Taiwan's Labour Minister says more than 100,000 jobs are at risk if Donald Trump's new tariffs come into force. Industries across the country are bracing for the worst. John Van Trieste reports.
Made in Taiwan. This trade show in Taipei is showcasing the best of the country's auto industry, from traditional auto parts to smart electric vehicles. But while there's plenty of action here, there's a shadow hanging over the event: U.S. President Donald Trump's unpredictable tariff policy. Many of these products go into cars sold in the U.S., and tariffs could bite hard.
我们汽车零配件整体的出口值达到2285亿台币。 所以可以说是一个非常重要的产业。当然，我们的业者呢会全力的来应变。
The uncertainty over tariffs has led to two reactions in the auto parts industry.
有些厂商是急于出货，但是有些厂商还是观望的态度。OE 厂供应链的话，它必须及时上工，它零件必须马上巨大。
And auto parts are just one of the many export-reliant Taiwan industries bracing for a hit. Labor Minister Hong Son-han says machinery, plastics, and even sink taps and other plumbing equipment stand to suffer a particular blow. He says over 100,000 jobs are at risk. But the government says it has a plan. The cabinet aims to set aside almost $3 billion to help firms get through the rough times that might be ahead. The government is also negotiating with Washington. There's talk of more Taiwanese imports of U.S. goods. And then there's one of the jewels in Taiwan's economic crown, semiconductor giant TSMC. The firm said in March it was going to invest a further $100 billion into the United States, where it's already opening plants in Arizona. The economy minister has told lawmakers that this is just one of the bargaining chips Taiwan holds.
我们现在手上有什么筹码？你刚才讲的这个部分，我们也可以列入这个筹码考虑之一啦，哈。但是我们筹码有很多，报告委员，我们不是只有一个筹码，哈，请你相信政府。
As the details of Taiwan's response come together, the country's exporters must wait and see on the true extent of the tariff impact and of any government assistance. Eason Pan and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
Environmental officials are defending the killing of a Formosan black bear in eastern Taiwan. The bear had repeatedly attacked livestock and pets in an indigenous village in Hualien County. A team sent to capture the animal shot it after it attacked a dog and turned on them. It was later put down because of its wounds. Formosan black bears are endemic to Taiwan. Although their numbers are on the rise, the species remains protected. The incident has prompted calls for better animal management strategies. More than 200 people have been injured after a magnitude 6.2 earthquake struck western Turkey. Turkey's disaster agency says the earthquake's epicenter was 80 kilometers west of Istanbul. The quake sent people rushing out of buildings and into parks as dozens of aftershocks continue to shake the region. There have been no reported deaths or major damage. Taiwan's Pavilion at Expo 2025 in Osaka is now officially open. The country is using the event to highlight its digital innovation and cultural beauty. But it's not all about the pavilion. It's also partly about what people are wearing. Sandy Chi reports.
Meet the guides of Tech World. They're ready to take visitors on a journey through Taiwan's Pavilion at Expo 2025 in Osaka, promising an experience of Taiwan's beauty and digital power. And if you look closely, even their uniforms can transport visitors to the heart of the island nation. The outfits, designed by Liao Jialing, known as the Queen of Uniforms in Taiwan, are the result of months of planning. The design is inspired by a unique Taiwanese tree, the Taiwania fir, the only tree in the world that includes Taiwan in its botanical name. It's hard for Taiwan to present itself on the world stage. Here at Expo 2025, like at many other international events, it doesn't have an official pavilion. Liao says she used the fir, which the country's indigenous Lukai people call the tree that touches the moon, as a symbol of Taiwan's cultural roots.
有一种树木叫做台湾杉，那我很希望借用这个台湾杉，能够让世界人看到。虽然我们台湾的政治处境，我们不能常常用台湾出名，可是我们可以用台湾杉来表现台湾的物种。
The uniforms are made of earth-toned, eco-friendly fabrics, featuring digitally printed, sketch-style illustrations.
我们也用了很多的环保的布料，像里头就有保特瓶回收，这是最基本的，还有牡蛎壳，所以这些都是台湾特有的布料。
From research and design to fabric selection and production, Liao says these uniforms are the most challenging pieces she's crafted in her 35-year career. Many of the details are made by hand, and she says the fabrics made it difficult to embroider.
我们也希望，因为借由这样子的工序，能够让虽然只是一个导览人员的制服，可是我希望让他们看到台湾的工艺。
Liao also took practicality into account, knowing the guides will have to wear the uniforms through different seasons and temperatures. The jacket has 50 hidden buttons, allowing guides to easily remove the sleeves if needed. Their uniforms are inspired by the look of an explorer ready to embark on a journey. It's meant to show Taiwan's resilience and pride, standing strong on the global stage despite all the challenges ahead. Henshu, Peachy Zhuang, and Sandy Chi in Osaka for TaiwanPlus.
And stay tuned to TaiwanPlus for more coverage of Expo 2025. Thank you for watching What's Up Taiwan. Before we go, we're visiting the UK's largest tulip festival. It's at Hampton Court Palace. I'm Louise Watt. Take care. I'll see you next time.